It begins!
Last year when I did the review for One Punch Man, I said it was one of the two best superhero comics that came out in 2014. Ms. Marvel is the other one. One of the major differences, however, is One Punch Man is a superhero satire, while Ms. Marvel tells more of a conventional superhero story. That being said, when I first saw preview images of the series, I wasn't impressed. In fact, I thought some of the character designs looked, let's say, racially insensitive. So, what changed my mind? Does it live up to the hype? What makes it so good? Well, this volume of Ms. Marvel is written by G.W. Wilson with art by Adrian Alphona. This comic is a pseudo spin-off of the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel series that ran from 2012 to 2014. This title also spins off from the Marvel event at the time, Inhumanity, where a Terrigen bomb explodes in the Earth's atmosphere, changing people who have inhuman biology, which Kamala is one of them. So as I was saying, Ms. Marvel tells the story of 16-year-old Kamala Khan of Jersey City. The first issue begins right before the Terrigen bomb goes off. We see her at a convenience store with a couple of her friends, and she's drooling over some forbidden meat. Pork isn't part of the Muslim diet. She runs into one of the in crowd who is delightfully condescending to her and her friends. We see that while she knows this person is being mean, she is envious of this person's lifestyle, just as all kids are at the age, or even adults at times. We also get a sneak peek of her home life: a lazy but caring older brother, a high-strung and strict mother. Her father is strict, but he has a more laid-back approach to child rearing. We also see Kamala is really interested in superheroes, so much so that we see her typing up a fanfic. Also, we see her spending time with her family, sneaking out to a party where she winds up having a dream or vision and then is granted superpowers. You know, just your typical day in life of a teenager. The rest of the volume sees her discover and then play around with her powers, getting into trouble with her parents, having a very touching moment with her father, then deciding on what to do. Should she become a superhero? And if she does, how does she go about doing it? Overall, this is a great story step and it's very well executed. Kamala is just a really fun and engaging protagonist. At times, she experiences self-doubt, and other times she's very exuberant. As you see her in future issues, she really loves being a superhero. Because what you're seeing is someone experiencing the Marvel Universe through fresh eyes. The last superhero that I can remember that really loved their superpowers and was this enthusiastic about using them was Billy Batson, Captain Marvel. Well, maybe Peter Parker, but that was more before a particular incident. The point is, you have a new character that is easily accessible to anyone, comic readers or not. The series isn't doom and gloom, but it isn't light and silly either. The best way to explain it is how Mark Waid explained his take on Daredevil: darkness with a sense of victory. Typically, comics these days are written for the trade, having a story that would normally take maybe 1 or 2 issues and string it along so it can fit 5 issues. I don't get that feeling here. The progression of the story feels natural and not forced. Heck, there isn't a supervillain until the very last page of the story. The writer G. Willow Wilson is a former journalist, but she has been writing comics since 2007. She paces the story skillfully. Nothing seems rushed or the exact opposite of being deconstructive storytelling. By the end of the first issue, the reader gets a handle on who Kamala is, the people who inhabit it and her life and their personalities, which are thankfully all different. And we see her receive her superpowers. Some writers, like I said before, would stretch this out to a ridiculous length. I'm looking at you, Brian Michael Bendis. I'm also thankful that the dialogue doesn't seem forced. Some writers would also try to input whatever the current slang is today, and it would come off just silly or hackneyed. As I noted at the beginning, initially I didn't like the art. At times it looked overly cartoony. There are also instances where the artist will draw characters but literally only put dots where their character's eyes and nose is supposed to be. It's also obvious that his strength isn't in backgrounds. Sometimes they look very blocky, lacking any real detail, and other times they just come off as being cartoony. The thing is, however, it works. His art style is already cartoony and the storytelling isn't overly dramatic, so I don't think the average reader is going to really notice it. Okay, I've said this next part about artists in previous reviews, and I'll say it here. Alphona draws everyone differently. Even today, there are artists that will draw everyone looking exactly the same. Thinking about it, I would describe his art style as a modern, classic fairy tale storybookish. What I mean is there is a slightly dreamlike, surreal quality if you look closely at the art. But then again, maybe it's just me. As far as recommendations go, yes, I recommend this. This is a really fun story of a new character trying to find her place in the world. That, however, isn't what made this one of the most controversial titles of 2014. Nope, the thing that got everyone into a tizzy is this is a comic about a Muslim. Ugh. Really? That's really a thing? That actually happened. Yes, Kamala Khan's family are practicing Muslims, and yes, it does come into play with the story at times. However, it comes out very organically. This isn't some sort of heavy-handed agenda that knocks you over the head with it. Islam plays as much a part in this story as anyone's religion will play into theirs. The writer G. Willow Wilson is also a Muslim, so she's writing from a point of experience, but Islam isn't the prevalent topic of any one issue in this volume or future volumes. So don't worry about this book being some sort of propaganda agenda or anything. It's just a really fun and involved story of a new character who's trying to find herself between two different worlds, superheroics and her daily life. The comic is still ongoing and it's still of very high quality. It's the perfect comic for someone who's into comics or someone who's not into comics. So give it a try.
Just one more thing.
One last thing I wanted to say before I go. Due to my current financial and housing situation, this is probably going to be my last piece of content that I'm going to put up anytime soon. I really don't know if I'm going to be coming back onto the internet later this year, next year, or whenever. I just like to thank anyone who's subscribed to my channels, checked out my work at my website and at my YouTube channels. It's still going to be up there. It won't be updated anytime soon. If my situation changes, I'll be back. If not, goodbye.